For years, a man kept telling people he was a killer. He said he'd buried bodies in the woods. He said he'd done things no one should ever admit out loud. He said it casually, almost proudly, and no one stopped him. They laughed. They rolled their eyes. They called him a liar. Until one girl disappeared. In the mid-1970s, a teenage girl vanished in rural South Carolina. She didn't come home. She didn't call, and unlike most runaways, she left behind no pattern, no warning, no reason. The community searched. Police questioned neighbors. Weeks passed with nothing but silence. But there was one name that kept floating to the surface. Not because he was feared, not because he looked dangerous, because he talked too much. He was small, short, thin, the kind of man people underestimated without thinking about it. Locals knew him by a nickname, one that sounded more like a joke than a warning, a name that made him seem harmless, almost childish. He drifted in and out of trouble, petty crimes, odd jobs, nothing that suggested the kind of violence people imagine when they hear the word killer. And yet, he told stories, dark ones. He bragged about having his own burial ground. He joked about killing. He spoke as if violence were just another thing he was good at. Most people assumed the same thing. He was lying for attention, because real killers don't talk like that. Right. Why would someone confess to murder if it wasn't true? At first, police treated him like they treated everyone else. They listened. They noted inconsistencies. They dismissed exaggerations. He'd been known to make things up before. He enjoyed shock. He enjoyed control. But the missing girl didn't reappear. And eventually, one detail stopped sounding like a joke. He knew places no one else mentioned. He described locations that hadn't been released publicly. He spoke with a confidence that didn't fade under pressure, so investigators decided to follow him. Not because they believed him, but because they were running out of options. He led them into the woods, far from roads, far from houses, places people didn't wander by accident. The ground was uneven, overgrown, quiet in a way that makes sound feel intrusive. At first, nothing happened. Then they dug. What they uncovered wasn't dramatic. There were no headlines in that moment, just the slow realization that something was terribly wrong. Human remains, not just one. If he was lying, why was there a body where he said it would be? Everything changed after that. The joking tone disappeared. The dismissiveness vanished. Because now there was proof. And with proof came a terrifying possibility. What if this man hadn't been exaggerating? What if he'd been telling the truth all along? Once the first body was found, the stories didn't stop. They multiplied. He talked about people police had never connected. Disappearances no one had solved. Victims no one had linked together. Some claims were verifiable, others weren't. And that was the problem. The more he talked, the harder it became to tell where truth ended and fantasy began. Investigators would later acknowledge something disturbing. Some of the victims were incredibly vulnerable. People no one would immediately notice missing. People whose absence didn't trigger alarms, including children. This is where the case becomes difficult, not because of gore, but because of what it says about how Azali violence can hide in plain sight. The details were never fully released, and they don't need to be. The implication is enough. Psychologists struggled with him. He didn't behave like a typical serial killer. He didn't try to hide. He didn't deny. He talked. Constantly. Sometimes he contradicted himself. Sometimes he exaggerated details. Sometimes he seemed to enjoy the attention, which raised a horrifying dilemma. What if even now, he was still controlling the story? If a killer lies, but the lies lead to bodies, how many of the confessions are real? Eventually, a number began to circulate. A number so large it barely seemed possible. Not confirmed victims. Not proven murders. Confessions. Some disputed, some impossible to disprove. The number became part of his legend, but investigators were careful. They knew repeating it uncritically would give him exactly what he wanted: immortality. Looking back, one truth became unavoidable. He didn't hide who he was. He told people. He hinted. He joked. He warned. And the world laughed. Because monsters are supposed to look like monsters, not like men you underestimate. The scariest part of this case isn't whether the number is 30 or 60 or 105. It's that for years, no one felt threatened enough to act. Because belief matters. And disbelief can be deadly. Some killers disappear because they're careful. This one disappeared into plain sight because no one took him seriously. So the question isn't just how many victims there were. The real question is this: how many crimes happen simply because the truth sounds too unbelievable to face? If you want more true crime stories where the real mystery is why no one acted in time, subscribe to Mystery Vault. And in the comments tell us what unsettled you more: the number, or how long it took for anyone to listen.